Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan, and thank you for taking part in a social experiment unknowingly. I will go on to talk about the Hate Act and the hate laws that are about to come to pass in Scotland, but first of all, just explain what I've done. The Scottish Government are telling us what we are not to do, and I'm not sure whether telling people what not to do or telling them what they should do has the biggest influence. So I've recorded this video twice. Very similar to what I'm saying, hopefully almost identical. I've just forgot my words. And one video will be entitled, Do Not Watch This Video, and the other one will be titled, Watch This Video. And I'm just curious to see which has the biggest effect on the public, whether telling them what to do or telling them what not to do creates the biggest reaction. So that's the reason for the titles. However, on to the hate speech. The Hate Speech Act is coming into play in about 48 hours. And the biggest effect, based on a recent podcast I've done with Thomas Ross KC, may not be convictions. As he suggests, it may not be the sentencing. What he suggests is it may be the byproducts of this law, where the police are recording any complaint against you as a non-hate crime and registering it. Something we only became wary of once the Murdo Fraser case was made public, where Murdo Fraser, don't even think he made a comment, I think he either liked a comment or shared someone else's comment. He was reported to the police, a hate crime. The police looked at it, took it no further, didn't even speak to Murdo Fraser about it. That's how serious they took the complaint. And he found out later, by default, by accident, that his name was registered on a non-crime hate register. And Thomas Ross KC believes that might be the biggest consequence as a knock-on effect to these laws, because the police, the prosecution service and the courts may not be as keen on these new laws as SNP. So there's two possible outcomes, or two things that could happen with this hate crime law. The first is the documentation now of crime hate, non-crime hate, and two, stifling speech and opinion. And I'll look at both of those now. Now, as Thomas Ross said, lodging your details for non-crime hate was kept secret. Now, he's a man that's been dealing with defence law for over 40 years, and he didn't know this was happening. He also enlightened us that in England, the similar logging of non-crime hate has been challenged through the courts. And he believes that Scottish police must be aware of this challenge. However, they're continuing to carry on the process. Now, what consequences will this have? We are unsure, but potential consequences could be to jobs, travel, and PVGs, which are disclosures. If you are recorded, it could stop you getting some jobs because there's different levels of disclosure you need for different types of jobs, security jobs, etc. And it could have a knock-on effect to them. And as far as travel is concerned, it's well known that you can't get into America if you have any criminal convictions. But nobody's sure how these will show up. If you fill out an ESTA, you could be totally unaware that you're on this register and tell the American, can't remember the name of it, their home office, whatever theirs is called, on your ESTA form that you've got no problems with the police. It might stop you going into America, for example. And what knock-on effect will it have onto our volunteer sector? I run a volunteer group with about 30 adults, and we are involved with children, so we need PVGs. So out of all our volunteers, once their PVG's 3 years old, we need to renew them. Will these people be affected if they're on one of these registers? I don't know is the honest answer, but it could. And the other knock-on effect we have is to stifling free speech. And what I mean by that is, when you fear the law, you talk less. People are scared of this, so they will talk less. And when you say less, the debate is stifled, and free speech actually suffers, regardless of what you wanted to say and would normally say is legal or illegal, hate or non-hate. But, again, as Thomas had explained on the podcast, he refuses point blankly to be drawn into any debate on transgender issues because, as he says, he might not be fully up on the topic, but people might want to know his opinion as someone who's been involved in law for 40 years, but he refuses to do so because he knows fine well that if his opinion is not in line with some people, then they will simply shout him down and call him transphobic, etc., etc., etc. And that could, after the 1st of April, because gender and not sex is a protected group, it could land them in legal bother. So what will the SNP have achieved? They're going to quell debate in society. And that could potentially be on both sides of any argument, because people fear a law that they don't understand. And again, Thomas Ross, 40 years as a criminal defence lawyer and then advocate, admits that he doesn't understand the law. What chance have society got? So it will quell debate because people will be saying less. It will suppress critical thinking. Again, because those who might have a critical opinion on any topic are less likely to hit the record button on their camera and share it as a video, or write blogs, etc., or even take to Twitter or Facebook and provide an opinion. So it will quell free speech, guaranteed, because people will say less. It will also, because of who wrote the laws, those who oppose the SNP will speak out less often. And that is just using common sense and logic. Because if you know who wrote the law, and you know who could attack you with this law, and you oppose them and their cult following, then a lot of people will speak out less. So we have a society being designed by government, which isn't their job. It is society's role to mould society. Not some people in Holyrood, some of whom have got less than 1,000 votes next to their name and get in because of the PR system. They get into power. It's not their job to mould society. That is indeed society's job. And that has been taken away from society with this act and law. I find it despicable, I'm perfectly honest with you. And they'll hide behind, if you talk out about it, that means you don't agree that there should be no hate. Of course, it would be a lovely utopia if we lived in a world where hate didn't exist. But that would require us to have emotions, because hate is driven by emotion. It is indeed an emotion. A lot of people say it's a thought law. It's not, it's an emotion law, because hate is an emotion. And although we can control our own emotions the vast majority of the time, a lot of the time, especially when it's tough things, like maybe someone robbing you, like somebody killing your family, like somebody attacking you, your emotion could be to hate that person. So we now have a law that stifles your emotions. Crazy, isn't it? However, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, don't only subscribe, but hit your notifications to be told when your next videos come out. But most importantly of all, as I say in all my videos, unless you're Humza, the SNP, or their cult that are lapping all this up, have a great day. Cheery bye now.